An economic development ecosystem is really taking the lens from either the worker or the firm and situating both of those players in a larger context. If you're a firm thinking about situating in location A versus location B, you are going to take into account the supply of talent, the infrastructure in place to put a factory, the governance infrastructure to think about whether you're going to have a predictable partner who is going to be easy to work with for building permits or for expansion or for other opportunities. Training institutions like community colleges and other skill development agencies have been shown to be immensely important. And those institutions tend to be the ones that provide a pipeline both for building new infrastructure or new facilities, but also staffing them later on.
Economic development is a team sport, and everybody needs to understand their role in building a stronger regional economy. Everybody has a role to play. But for a kind of truly ecosystem approach, you also need to attract new employers and help spur new startups. Cities need to go all in on building on existing assets, supporting legacy employers, making big bets for the future.
There's sort of two prongs to the LEAP district and Eli Lilly. The district itself, which has the government stakeholders around Lebanon, Indiana, and Eli Lilly, which is the enormous pharmaceutical innovation and manufacturing firm. Both come together, investing billions of dollars into a LEAP district that is outside of Lebanon. And the LEAP district is designed to support Lilly's next generation of drug manufacturing as they have new drugs coming online, along with providing a talent pipeline and sort of supporting infrastructure for Lilly to be able to realize those opportunities. Lilly and the LEAP district realized that they weren't going to have enough techs to support their manufacturing or scientists to support their manufacturing, and they've partnered with local community colleges like Ivy Tech and the Purdue's of the world to make sure that there is a skilled workforce to support advanced manufacturing there. But without that prior planning, if you think about sort of a 3 or 4 year lag time to get this project off of the ground, and then you build things and then there's no one there to actually work the lines, that's a disaster. One of the things that happens in Lebanon is that the mayor talks about being able to lower taxes or to provide new infrastructure or new public goods that would be funded by the incremental tax revenue that the LEAP district is going to get. I think that's really smart. You broaden the base of benefits beyond just the folks who are going to get direct jobs. But then the second question is, to what extent do you have a mandate if not everyone is on board, is why you might see some of the tension between farmers who are upset about taking land or taking water, taking resources from them, if they don't expect that they're going to move into one of the sectors that is either directly benefiting from the investment or would have some spillover benefits in terms of other services or other opportunities locally. And so stakeholders on both sides, government and business, are going to have to deal with that perception that not everyone is going to feel like they won in these transactions. And as a result, there's a lot of detail in the case about issues around transparency, issues around fair dealing, and some political blowback around the LEAP district, even if most of the commentators are very excited about the possibility that LEAP is going to raise living standards on average. The second reason that this case is chosen is that there's a clear sort of anchor tenant where the LEAP district is kind of built around Lilly's needs, which raises the question of whether you want an anchor tenant or whether you want to do more agnostic planning for innovation. There are a couple of core things that you should take away. The first is, if you're a business leader and you have not engaged with the other stakeholders in your ecosystem, if you want to do big things on the horizon, you need the training institutions. You need the providers of infrastructure, and community support to allow you to make the next leap forward. If you are a government or a community-focused leader, the takeaway for you has to be that you have to understand business needs. You're not going to get an advanced drug manufacturer to site in your backyard unless you can provide the life sciences manufacturing techs, the scientists, and the engineers who are going to support that venture in the future. And as a result, business leaders and government leaders can't make these decisions in a vacuum. They have to make these decisions as partners, because ultimately, I think the last takeaway is that there will be political pressure to stop these deals from folks who believe that they're not going to be winners. Say in 10 years, the LEAP district is a success. Once that's established, the real test is whether other constituents in the business community find the LEAP district an attractive area for their own future investment. And so continuing to get other businesses and other firms to locate there probably means that you create a flywheel effect where you get the benefits of agglomeration.
Economic development, innovation needs to be place-based, that every city can participate in the innovation economy if they grow from the inside out. And that means harnessing their community and region strengths, their industrial assets, their people, their talent, their dreams, and to create opportunities that expand jobs for more people. Every city is looking to grow good jobs in tech. And each city is kind of at a different stage of their life cycle in that complicated process. I've been really impressed by the work that Michigan Central is doing in Detroit. This is the Ford-backed innovation district that's reactivated a new train station, kind of part innovation infrastructure, part startup accelerator, part ecosystem builder. And their mission is to develop new technologies, track new startups, incubate the next kind of generation of employers for Detroit. And so I think they're doing a really good job of leveraging a corporate partner, but building out an ecosystem in next-gen technologies. The other, and this personal bias on my part, is I helped lead this effort, but Tulsa Innovation Labs in Tulsa, that's partnering with oil and gas companies to build out an entrepreneurial ecosystem in energy tech. So leveraging the legacy industries and supply chains and ecosystem in the oil and gas field to attract and support new startups that help those companies innovate, become more resilient, but create new firms and new jobs for Tulsans. Tulsa Innovation Labs raised $200 million in 4 years, on track to grow 70,000 tech jobs over the next decade, over $1 billion in economic activity. And for me, I think the takeaway is building on what you have, building on regional assets, building cross-sector partnerships, taking an ecosystem approach, developing a handful of clusters that represent the strongest opportunities for your city. I think Tulsa's doing that really effectively.
Mid-sized cities have got to kind of create their own economic future, right? The knowledge economy is aggregating in larger metros. And so for Chattanooga, it's about really fighting for relevance. We had the first municipal fiber network in the country. And now we're doing, quantum computing on that network. So it's been a real advantage. But we're being much more intentional now about really focusing on clusters and attracting the industries and the jobs that we want. And the ones that, frankly, comport with our philosophy and will work with us on creative workforce development strategies and upskilling. We're lucky we've got organizations like the Enterprise Center in Chattanooga that address specifically digital inequity, but really it has to do with working with the school system and with our employers on what we call workforce development reform. There's a lot of exciting stuff going on in that area right now. We have a great history of public-private partnership in Chattanooga, and it is in everyone's best interest that they do so because divided economies don't work.
Most of these problems require a whole of society approach. So when we think about having the workforce that we want and that we need, it's not just on the worker. It is on all of us. It's going to happen because governments, businesses, nonprofits work together and create policies around what that industrial strength and strategy of this country is going to look like. Because if you think about all these technologies that will define the future, they're not just simply software anymore. They are in the physical world, and that requires you to industrially build things. And that is an opportunity to create some of those good jobs where people are advancing, they're being paid well, they have freedom and voice in their work, and more importantly, they have the ability to advance, that the first job isn't the last job.
You need civic institutions that can bring the public and private and social sectors together, that can help guide all of these partners through these types of conversations and solution building to create a shared vision for growth, to create investments that advance economic mobility. You need an anchor organization leading the charge that's helping define swim lanes and assigning roles and responsibilities and bringing these partners together. You can't expect a private company to do that on their own. That's not what they're made for. Government, civil institutions, the social sector, that's what they do best.